Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in this video it is part 2 of the IBM PC 5150's restoration. And as you can tell from the ending of part 1, which I'll put a link up here, a lot of stuff's changed behind me, and that's kind of because a lot of time has passed, not only from the end of part 1, but also from when I originally started doing part 2 here. In fact, so much time has passed that there's been quite a few changes to the game room itself and the computer room. I'll talk all about that towards the end of this video, but essentially, main bulk of this video has been done since December. Yeah, as you can imagine, it's already March, so you can kind of imagine there's been a lot going on, like I said, between just weather, work schedule changes, and also hardware issues with my main computer upstairs has made it nearly impossible to get any work done with this video that I would like, involving something. So like I said, I'll explain all that towards the end of the video. So let's just get going with part 2 and show you all the stuff that's happened since part 1. And well, since I already know how this video is going to end, some of the fun I've had with restoring the 5150 here. So let's just get started. Okay, so like I said in the intro, I'm going to be using my Turbo XT here and my AMDEC monochrome monitor to test at least most of the 5150 hardware here. This I'm going to test separately, obviously, but I want to see if the floppy controller works, the Hercules card. I'm going to test the hard drive. I'm just going to plug it in and see if it boots anything. I really can't test the RAM card here until I get the 5150 working, because that board already has 640K on it, so this wouldn't do anything. In fact, I don't even think it would even, it might give me a bunch of errors. If everything goes well, I also want to test the original MDA card out of my dead 5150 I picked up a few years ago, kind of as a bonus, and the other two floppy drives I picked up out of that dead 5150. That way I have some spare floppy drives, because I'm going to have to put a second floppy drive in that chassis. That way there's not a blank space in case that drive is dead, which I'm like 99% sure that drive's not even going to spin up. And then I'm going to do some testing on the board here and see if any caps appear, at least for preliminary testing, quick testing, if they're shorted. Because who knows, maybe I'll try and power this thing up in this video. Well, who knows, we'll see. But let's just get to testing the hardware here. Okay, so first things first, let's just verify that the K Pro is fully functional with the AMDEC. Even though I know it does, I just want to, make sure there's no problems. 640K, all good. It's not going to boot to anything because I don't think I have any thing in the floppy drive right now, which is fine. But hey, motherboard's working. It should give me a boot error here in a second. Yep, boot is failure. Okay, so the controller and the stuff's working. So let's start swapping parts. All right, so here's the one I pulled out of the K Pro, very consolidated, and we also have this one that I pulled out of the 5150. That is missing its bracket. I still haven't tracked down any nuts yet. I have a couple of dead video cards I need to find. They're somewhere in my reorganizing mess. So it's kind of amazing that the amount of consolidation, because the original Hercules card was about this big, and then it just quickly consolidated down to about this. Yeah, let's see if the 5150's Hercules card works. Gonna put it in the right same slot, and be careful because there's no bracket holding it in place. And I have an image. Cool, so the Hercules card works just fine. That works. That was a quick test. So set that aside. Real quick while I'm here, I'm going to test the IBM's MDA card. So this came out of the dead 5150 I picked up a couple years ago. I mentioned it before, but there was a dead rodent that just killed the main board, and I was able to save all of the expansion cards. Yeah, let's just see if the original MDA card here works. Actually, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of expecting an exploding cap. No explosions. That's surprising, actually. Oh, and image. Okay, so the MDA card works. So I think what I'm going to do, just until I can find the actual some nuts for this that I can pull out of a dead card, I'm probably going to pop this MDA card in the 5150 at first, just for now. But yeah, it's working, so let's keep on testing. So I'm actually going to leave the MDA card in here throughout the duration of the testing. That way, just because it works now, this way I can have it, go through a few power cycles just to make sure. So let's pull out the floppy controller, which is this really small and condensed. It says XT 2004 on it from XL. Yeah, it's a really consolidated floppy controller. I was able to find some information on this. This actually has the exact same compatibility as the original IBM one. It's just a lot smaller. Like, a lot smaller. Like, again, there's about, I don't know, about 8-9 years worth of consolidation here. So, and since this is a longer card, I'm gonna have to put in a different slot. I'm gonna pull a sound card out for right now. That way there's nothing in the way. So I'm silly, I need to move. I'm gonna move that card, the NBA card, over to the furthest slot. There's a lot of stuff in the way. There we go. Okay, now plug in the floppy controller. Is cable gonna reach? It will. And we're gonna pop in a 360K of MS-DOS 3.3. So far, I'm actually impressed. Cards are working. Oh, cool. Image, count up RAM. It did start reading the disk. That's good. Is it actually going to read it though? Haha! MS-DOS version 3.3. I'm going to put disk 2 to drive B because I want to see if it uses both floppies. Awesome. B directory. Awesome. So the floppy controller works. All right, let's try the floppy drive. I'm going to unplug it and unplug it. So far, most internals are just working. All right, so here's the floppy drive. I have not cleaned it or lubed it yet, just because I wanted to test stuff out before I did any of that. This is a Tandon. I called it a Tadron before. This is from August 25th of 1983. A couple audit stickers on it. It doesn't say exactly what it is, but it is the same model that they've used in all of these. I'll have to look up to see what it is before. But yeah, let's get it plugged in. Okay, so let's pop in MS-DOS. Lights on. But it's not doing anything. Boot disk failure. Uh-oh. Okay, so I just saw something. I don't want to turn it any more than it already is, but watch. The spindle doesn't turn. Light comes on. Spindle doesn't turn, but it's not locked up. So the motor's not working on this drive. Okay, so this drive's not working. I'm going to have to tear it apart and do some diagnosing on that because for some reason the motor's not turning, but it is freed up. So, finally, something that failed. Just for some fun, this is one of the drives from the dead 5150 I picked up a couple years ago. It's nasty. I haven't even touched it since I acquired it. But this actually has the Tandon sticker of model number TM100-2A from 1985, so this is already a newer drive, but that's the funny thing right there. It's a warranty sticker for 1990. That is amazing. So, let's see if this one works. Right now, I don't even have one functional drive. I'd like to have at least one. Put in the floppy. Screen's working, counting up RAM. It's spinning. Awesome. Non-system disk or disk error. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to try another floppy, because that one I put in there was a test floppy to see if it would drag the head and destroy the material. I just wanted to verify it, so. It's not pretty sounding, but it is at least reading this one. Look at that! DOS 3.3. I have a working floppy drive. Awesome. Okay, so this drive works. This one just needs to be cleaned, but yeah. So I have at least one working drive. Okay, so let's try this. This is the other one out of that dead 5150. It had two drives in it. Same thing, 1985. This one's actually from 1285, so this is a very late Tandon drive. This one, the only difference is I do see some repair work somebody's done, and it's missing this chip that the other one has, which I think is actually for a termination. So I don't know if this one's actually going to boot, but I just want to see if it'll do something. All right, we have MS-DOS 1. Okay, this one might actually error out because if it's supposed to be terminated and that's supposed to be floppy B with the IBM system, it might not boot correctly. Lights come on and I do hear it spinning. Is it actually going to boot with this one? Okay, I don't understand the termination thing then. I really don't. Like, oh god, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so I have two working drives. So, yeah, in case that hard drive doesn't work, I have a drive. Okay, so now time for the real test. Let's see if this MFM drive works. Okay, so I've got the microphone here spun around so that way we can hear any spectacular crashes or noises that may come from this. Alright, see what happens. Opens up. And the head's seeking. No way. Well, it is doing something. It did something. Is it just gonna work? No way. Oh, I was gonna say there's no way I was this lucky with this this thing. So I want to try something real quick. All right, so maybe it's just like with the that RLL drive I have that does work. I'm gonna try and see if I can access it with a boot floppy. Okay, so I moved some cards around because maybe there's a slot problem. Yep, okay, there we go. Now drive A is working. Okay. So maybe now I can access it like that RLL drive. Invalid drive. Okay. Maybe D drive? No. Okay, so maybe let's try debug. Maybe that'll do something. If I remember, I just looked this up. It's like G equals C800 colon 5. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the card is responding. We have WX2 at Format Utility Revision 7, 1985. Press Y to begin the little format. We'll just see what happens. Error code completion 80. I'll have to see what that is. Okay, so Google says error completion 80 is a seek failure on the drive. Okay, so the drive might be dead, but I do want to try one more thing just in case. Alright, so I wrote spin right to this floppy. Okay, so spin right here should let me do something. Yeah, so spin right. That looks cool. Okay, by Gibson Research, copyrighted, commercial, don't use if you're not a company, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like they're going to stop me all these years later. Okay, pressing key. Okay, industry standard, pressing key. Let's just do a quick surface scan, analysis, operation. Let's see what happens. Perform low-level formatting. Log all spinner activities to disk. Okay. So, quick test. Has not found compatible hard drive. Okay, so that drive might just be dead. Well, that's a bummer. Well, I guess I'm not gonna have a functional MFM drive for this thing, but I do have some working floppy drive, so I'll at least have a dual floppy system. On with the stuff. Okay, and unfortunately from here on out we had a issue, so there's no audio. So enjoy some retro music and some voiceover. Alright, here's the power supply I'm going to be testing first with a dummy load attached to it in the shape of a floppy drive that came from one of the machines. And here's another power supply from the other 5150. I'm going to test them both in this video just to see which one works. And whichever one works best is going to be the one I use. This one actually still has all the stickers on it for all the voltage rails, which is really nice. Oh, no explosions. Fan's working. Alright, check the voltages. 5 volts, that's good. Right on the money. 12 volts, right on the money. Perfect. Perfect. Another 5. Another 5. And a 12. This is a low one that was 11 volts. I thought that was a little low, but it should be okay. And here's the other power supply with all of these stickers still intact. This is from the dead 5150 that I picked up quite a few years ago. Alright, let's plug in a dummy load and let's try it. Same thing, no explosions. And the fan's working. Alright, let's check the voltages. Good. That one's good. 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 Little low. I'm not quite sure why this one is lower than the other one, but it should be okay. I'm not going to use this one though. I'm going to use one with the higher voltage rail. That way I know it's going to work. And here they are side by side. They're the same power supply. Here I'm just talking about which one I'm going to be using, so not much to say here. And here's the 5150's motherboard. There's the 10-pin AT style power connector. The 8088 and Mathico processor sockets. This is the NEC variety. We have the 5 ISA, or I'm sorry, just expansion slots. They weren't ISA till later, and they're spaced very strangely. They're not quite what this current standard is, so this would not work in a modern case. We have an empty ROM socket there. I'm not quite sure what it's for. We have the ROM here. I think this is the BIOS ROM, which is the important one, so it's the Rev 3. And here's the 2 possibly dead basic chips. And here's the RAM bank here, with bank 0 being soldered in and the others being socketed. Other than that, the board is actually fairly clean. And here we are, we're going to test just for a dead short here at the power connector. This should test for any shorted tantalum capacitors. Now this is not the best way to test for a shorted capacitor. The best way is to desolder them and test them individually, like I am here, as you can't see what I'm doing. But yeah, they're all in overload, which means there should be no shorts between 5 volt, 12 volt, and ground, and any of the voltage rails, so there shouldn't be a shorted cap on here, at least in theory anyway. Like I said, this is not the 100% best way, but this is a quick way to test to make sure there's no dead shorts, and from what I can tell, there isn't, which is good. So fingers crossed everything goes good. And here we have the setup here, the power supply on the motherboard, and we're going to test out to see if everything works, because, well, I found a short cap, so why not? So I'm going to just set some switches here for the board as it is in its current configuration with 256K of RAM, the monochrome MDA card, and no floppy drive, no controllers, nothing. Well, no explosions. But there's nothing on the screen, and it's because I kind of goofed up here. As you can probably see, I don't have the monitor plugged in at all to power or video in. Yeah, it would help if I would plug that stuff in. Round 2. And holy crap, I have a blinking cursor. I was actually super impressed and excited by this, to the point where I was actually swearing quite a bit here. Kind of glad the audio did cut out, because I'd had to insert a lot of beeps at this point. Yeah. Works for the most part, so yay. Anyway, we have some errors here. 409201, which is a RAM address error. I don't fully remember what that is off the top of my head. 301, which is the keyboard error because it's not plugged in. We have the failed basic ROM chips, which I'll talk about later. And 601 here, that is the floppy controller failure, which makes sense because it's not even plugged in, which is weird because I thought I set the switch to being off, but oh well. Alright, let's try it out with a floppy controller. And one of the working drives. Oh, and plug in the keyboard because let's remove as many errors as we can. Insert a boot disk, which is oh so satisfying with that lever. And we're going to set the jumpers to a single floppy drive, still 256K of RAM, and the MDA card. Round 3. And we're going to speed it up here so we can hurry up and get through the boot up process, which is, it doesn't show anything at all. But hey, we have only 2 errors now, which is the basic ROMs, which means we're making progress. This is actually really exciting, because that means this entire motherboard is basically 99% working. And it booted into DOS. So now we're going to try my XT IDE card. Unfortunately, sometime after recording this video, this thing quit working, so a little annoyed by that, but not the point of the video. Basic failures, and boom, right into the XT IDE BIOS. So yeah, basically all the slots are essentially working on this motherboard. So let's run and check it real quick. Let's benchmark it. Oh, and hey, surprise, this PC has the same performance as a PC XT. Weird. Alright, time for reassembly. Slide in the motherboard here. Attach in the speaker. Connect the speaker. And trying to attach only relatively a few amount of screws into the motherboard. Really not a whole lot holding in. So here's the power supply. I decided to use the one with the better negative 12 volt rail that was at negative 11. It's a little low, but it's higher than the negative 10 volts of the other one. I'm not quite sure why it's like that, but it's fine. I'll mess with it later, or just use it for parts. And a close-up shot of plugging in the AT connectors. That brown spot on the one connector there, that's not a burn spot. It's just like a discoloration in the plastic. I just looked at it, and it's not burn or nothing. And here's the IBM B drive. And we're going to do a quick clean on the A drive here because it was a little dirty. I'll admit, these drives are actually super easy to service and tear apart. I don't remember what these are based on. I know that some of these 5 1/4 drives were based on the Shugart design. And I want to say that's what this design is too, because it's very similar to the drive mechanism that's in my Osborne, and from some pictures I've seen of the Apple Disk 2 drives. So I think these are actually based on Shugart, and they're actually very easy to tear apart. Something I didn't mention at any point so far, these are both 360K drives, the 48 TPI style drives. I would absolutely love to find the single-sided version of one of these for one of these drives, so I could write single-sided floppies, but it's not that big a deal. It's fine. And yeah, like I said, it wasn't too dirty. It just needs a little bit of scrubbing and cleaning, and it turned out looking good. So let's install it. I find it amusing that they're just held in by a couple screws. Literally just 2. A lot of PCs of the 90s had 4 to keep things in. Although I will admit, these power connectors, they're kind of a pain in the butt because the most connectors themselves are facing down. And trying to cable manage this very thick yet very pretty blue ribbon cable was kind of a pain, but once I figured out the correct procedure for it, it went in just fine. Here's the Floppy controller. Make the cable nice and pretty. Insert the MDA card, which I'm going to remove here in a second because I realized I wanted to check something first. And here's the RAM card out of the dead 5150. I might as well try it while I'm here. It's a 256K variant, which will give me a total of 512K of total RAM on this 5150. And installing 2 new I/O panel block-off plates. Well, newer anyway. They were really nice and shiny, so why not? Close it up nice and pretty back here. And yeah, here's the MDA card I just took out that I just installed because, well, yeah, I want to try out a few games, so I'm going to put the Hercules card in for now. Looking good. All right, now let's set the switches to dual floppy drive and 512K, and fingers crossed that, well, nothing blows up on the RAM. Which it didn't. Flash forward in here, we have 512K of RAM, so it's working just fine with 317K available using DOS 6.22. Now, I didn't notice it at first, but there is a bit of an issue here. B drive's not showing up. I didn't realize it at first either because I was more concerned why is there a one joystick when there is no joystick port on this machine. Confusing, but I'll figure it out. Oh, also no COM ports because no serial. So let's run a game, and yes, I'm gonna be trying Planet X3 here from David Murray, just because it's basically a near universal DOS game, and it's a good way to test out a system to make sure it works. And here using Hercules, this monochrome version looks amazing. I mean, yeah, for only having a single color to work with, this looks actually really good. I kind of want to know what this would look like if on like a white or a green monochrome, but I don't have either one to test it out with right now. Now, this is the part where I started getting confused. B drive was not working correctly, and I wasn't quite sure why at first, because it was working earlier, especially when I tested it with the K-Pro Turbo XT. It wouldn't read, it wouldn't boot, it wouldn't, well, do anything, as you can see. So I decided to swap the floppies to make sure that it was the drive and not the floppy, and you can see it right here where I think the problem happened. It's right where the cable is resting on top of the PCB. That's where the repaired wires are from some kind of previous repair, right here. I think this was leaning on the wires, and it must have broke one of them, because later on I noticed there was a broken wire on the connector at the PCB, which wasn't like that before. So this is probably something I screwed up, so I'll have to take care of that at a later date. So I decided to steal one of my spare 360K drives that came with my compact portable and slide it in instead as the B drive. It doesn't fully match, but you know what? It's easier to plug in the power connector, so I'll consider that a bonus. It's just not IBM branded, which I'll live with for now. Booting up with XT ID here. A drive works. And the B drive works. And for some reason it seems like it's a tiny bit faster. I'm not quite sure why, but maybe I'm just imagining it. So let's get it all cleaned up. And I'll admit, this just pretty much wiped clean. There wasn't too much to scrub on it, except for this little tape spot, which it doesn't want to go away. I've tried a few different things. I tried Goo Gone, alcohol. It doesn't want to go away. I don't want to wipe off the paint, so I'll just leave it for now. But yeah, as you can kind of see, just basically a good scrubbing with some really mild cleaner just got it all off. And here it is, looking fantastic, looking nearly brand new. A tiny bit of dirt still in that floppy drive. I'll take care of that for the video, but it looks gorgeous. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. So let's put on one of the AMDEC monochrome monitors. Insert PC-DOS 3.3. Hit the big chunky orange switch, and look at that. That looks gorgeous. I absolutely love the way this turned out, especially with the way that amber monochrome looks. And here it is, my nearly fully restored IBM PC 5150. I love the way this thing turned out, even though this entire video was full of surprises, not just with this machine itself, but with the entirety of this video trying to get it out for the past 3 months. It's been a roller coaster of a ride and a trip, but in the end, it all worked out because, as you can see here, it is powered up, booted into DOS, running good, and looking amazing, especially with this AMDEC. Obviously, yes, it's not a Model F that I would love to have, or a 5150 one that I would love to have. Finding one of those is on the back burner, because obviously those things are very expensive, and I'd have to be local because I do not want to risk shipping a monitor. But yeah, anyway, it's done, it's working, and it's semi-permanent home. I say semi-permanent because this is where it's going to be. I just need to rebuild this entire shelf over here and over there so that I can store all the PC and PC clones, have them all set up. I can just come in like this, flip a switch, and start running software and games. Put some shelving up here for some of the DOS and PC software and the clone software, all that kind of stuff. That's the eventual goal. But for right now, this thing is doing amazing. It's actually been chugging along, running perfectly for the past 3 months. In fact, it's been sitting here for the past month, just chirping away. Kinda. Like, it hasn't been running the entire time, obviously. As I said, this thing is not fully 100% done, even though it has been done for the past 3 months. I haven't done any other work to it besides setting it up, because as you can probably see, it still has the basic errors. But that's fine because it still is able to boot into DOS, specifically PC-DOS 3.1. Yes, the more Error correct would be PC-DOS 1.0, 1.1, or 2.0, 2.1. I cannot write a PC-DOS 1.1 floppy. For whatever reason, I have not found any combination of drive and controller to do so. And same thing with the PC-DOS 2.1. I was able to write it successfully, it just will not boot with this machine. I can put it in B drive and directory over to it, but it won't actually boot it. I have no idea what's going on there. So for right now, this one is running 3.1, while the 5150 is running, or 5170, sorry, is running 3.3. But anyway, back to the basic ROMs. Yes, 3 months later, it is still showing the errors here, and that's because I have not fully fixed it yet. And I want to explain why and hopefully justify my reasons. So the first reason is I technically don't need BASIC to fully work on this machine yet. Every game and software that I've thrown at this thing and tried to play hasn't needed BASIC. It just will boot and run just fine. Really haven't had any issues. Now, I don't know if there's any PC booter games or whatever that require BASIC to work to load on here. I know there's some stuff on the floppies that need BASIC, but I haven't used those, so it's not that big a deal yet. But I do plan on fixing that in the future. So as for right now, the software and games that I'm playing on here really aren't requiring me to fix the BASIC problem yet. Obviously, when I go to do a retrospective review of the 5150 and talk about the PC line itself, then yes, I would love to have that fixed. That way it's all fully functional and looks like it's supposed to when it boots up and doesn't have errors. The second and biggest reason why I have not fixed this yet is because I am actually afraid to. I've mentioned before the previous 5150 that was dead. I relegated it to being basically a parts board for this one, now that I have this one. The thing was is that I decided, well, instead of trying to buy those sockets, I would desolder the ones off the dead board as practice for desoldering using my desoldering pump. That way I could get practice in and, try and figure out the right, the heat and the right amount of time to leave it on there before I suck out the solder. And get good practice in anyway, at least on a dead board. That's always good advice, is to use a dead broken board for desoldering, because, well, if you can't break it more if it's already dead. Well, unfortunately, with the cheap desoldering pump that I was using, the first socket I destroyed like 3 or 4 pads and a couple traces. The second one I destroyed 2 or 3. The final socket I tried to desolder did come out clean and perfect, but that also got me extremely worried about desoldering the sockets on this one. I don't want to destroy pads and solder traces and cause more problems for this 5150 than it would possibly need. I want to get more practice desoldering stuff like that. I want to get better desoldering equipment. I do have some solder wick and stuff on my in my Amazon cart I'm going to be ordering. I did have some, but I think I've used it all practicing. So that's going to be a future thing. Yes, I will be fixing the basic thing. I will be doing not a part 3, not really a follow-up, but a desoldering thing with this so I can see if I can get it to work. So don't worry, PC guys, IBM aficionados, I will be fixing the basic problem. It's just the 2 reasons, like I said. I don't want to damage this board any more than it already is. I need more practice desoldering, and basic isn't really needed right now as far as I can tell. Unless there is a game out there that boots on here that requires working basic chips to function, please let me know what it is, so I can kind of avoid it for right now. The other thing that isn't working on here is the B drive. Now, this did come with a Seagate hard drive, specifically this ST213 here, which I did show it is dead and not working. And since that video, I've actually tried a lot of things besides I haven't opened it yet. I've tried plugging this into different controllers. I even went stupid and plugged it into the RLL controller on that 238R drive that I showed in a previous video. And I was like, well, regardless, I'm just going to see if it'll low-level format it just to try anything to see if this drive is actually dead, and it will not respond at all. So this drive is dead. The hard drive's not the part I want to fix. The part I want to fix is the B drive here, because I would kind of like them both to be IBM branded drives. So earlier when I was doing the restoration, I tested both of the IBM branded drives that came out of the dead 5150. One did not spin up at all, but one did at least read floppies. So I figured I would use that one as the B drive. Well, when I put it in here, I must have broke one of the fixed wires that was on top of the top PCB for the control board. Because I saw that it had some heat shrink on some of the tubings, like old heat shrink is what it looked like, really old heat shrink. I've never seen heat shrink like that before. It kind of looked like just like tubes of plastic. But one of the wires was broke, so I need to repair that. So I'm gonna be doing a video here pretty soon on how this video is gonna be done and out. Anyway, of tearing those two drives apart, doing some testing, and building one working B drive for this machine, so they'll both be IBM branded. Because the B drive that's currently in here was a spare for my compact portable that I have on the back burner to restore. And I would like to have them set up as spares for either the PC XT, since it looks like it has a hard drive in it, so who knows if that one's going to work, considering the damage on the inside, or using one of those drives for any future PC writing or floppy writing stuff. Yeah, that's the two future things I want to get done with this, is the B drive and the basic stuff. But other than that, the machine is running perfectly the way it is. I don't plan on upgrading the RAM to 640K. There's really not a point to having a full 640K on this machine. 512K is more than enough, and that's mainly because this has 640K in it, so anything that won't run on here would run on here, and most of the stuff that's meant for this machine are going to be somewhere between 64K and 512K anyway, just from the era it was released. 640K really wasn't popular until the, XT and AT era. So this not having a full 640K doesn't bother me. I don't plan on doing a RAM upgrade kit. I still want to get that card working and possibly use it for the XT. Depends on what kind of RAM card's in there. It had a weird card when I tore the thing apart before. The only real upgrade I want to do is I want to install an XT to IDE adapter in here just for it, and have two CF cards for it. One running PC-DOS 2.1 and one running DOS 6.22. Mainly just for, 6.22 is more ubiquitous, and I can use larger partitions for things. And the 2.1 partition one is probably going to be like just a small CF card, like 10 megabyte, 20 megabyte, something of, that way it's kind of error correct. That's it. It's kind of silly to do that. I mean, why would you not just put a 200 megabyte in here, and that way you can run all these games and stuff? But this machine I kind of want to have mainly for the early PC DOS games, the PC booter games, the ones from around 81, 82, maybe 83, ones that are going to be requiring MDA and Hercules. I want to save the CGA stuff for the next machine up. So that's kind of what the plan for this thing is. But yes, an XT IDE device, which does bring up one of the hardware failures I've actually had since trying to get this video out. And one of them was the XT IDE card that I had died. It just poof, gave up the ghost. I was literally in the middle of doing some stuff with the PC 5150 here. I was trying to, when I booted this thing up, it was going to have the IBM logo and to give some system specs here with a custom autoexec.bat file, and the CF card would no longer read in the in my CF card reader that's on my main PC, and the XT IDE would no longer boot. Something happened to either one of them. I did get the CF card to finally read. It took me a little bit, but I finally got it to work. But the XT IDE adapter just poof, it doesn't work anymore. I've tried it in all of these machines. I've tried them in my 486 to see if maybe it would do something. No, it won't boot anymore. So I am going to be buying another XT IDE card from here, or for this thing. I'm not quite sure where. I do want to get the one that actually has the bracket on the back, so I can pull the card in and out and not have to take the whole machine apart to do so. But that's realistically going to be the only upgrade for this thing, is the XT IDE. Don't plan on doing a sound card. PC speaker's fine. Don't feel like doing a RAM upgrade. The floppy controller works just fine. I guess the only other upgrade I do want to do to this thing is a serial card, so I can like connect it to another machine and use like BlackLink or something to transfer files, like, error correct like you used to back in the day. But yeah, as of right now, this thing it's done, and I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to be trying this thing in the future for future videos. I've been playing with it off and on for the past few months. Now that it's set up here, it's easy for me to just fire it up and go. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot more videos with this thing coming out here in the future, and I'm really excited for them because I have some more video ideas that are now able to be done now that this thing is working. Like I said in the intro, getting this video out was a pain in the butt. Like I said, this thing's been done, ready to go for 3 months. there's just been a lot of things that happened that just has made it almost impossible for me to get this video out. And hopefully everything goes well as I'm recording this. You know, fingers crossed that everything goes well now. The first one was that my wife, with it being winter, my wife's work schedule has changed to the point where she's working less during the week but more on the weekends, which is usually when I would record. I would record throughout the week, you know, sporadically after work while supper's cooking. And then on the weekends I would do all the bulk editing or bulk recording and then edit, you know, as much as I can on Sunday and then sporadically throughout the week. My recording schedule's weird, by the way. It makes it a little bit more of a challenge to record anything, especially when my kid is at the age where his job is to make noise. Whether it's his toys, whether it's his imagination and his stories, his playtime. He is just a very rambunctious, noisy kid, which I absolutely love. I love hearing him giggle and laugh and play and have just vivid imagination. But gosh, does it make recording a challenge. But that's a minor thing. I mean, I can work around, you know, my kid and my wife and stuff. That's no big deal. Like I've done it for the past few years. But the big one was we've had a lot of severe weather the past few months. Blizzards, rain on the weekends, and that kind of stuff. So I can't really get him out of the house on the weekends to like my folks or her folks to, you know, how do I explain that to people? Would be like, hey, here's my kid while I go stand in front of a camera. With severe weather came blizzards. We've had power outages. So yeah, all the severe weather stuff like that throughout the week. And but the big one that's been really confusing me is my main PC has had some hardware failures. CPU's fine, GPU's fine, mainboard's fine. But I had my main SSD on my computer completely fail. That had my DaVinci stuff on it and all of my recorded clips and audio clips recorded. Just completely fail. So I, to try and get this video out, I installed a backup SSD into the computer and then backed up all the files from an external hard drive. Because my NAS has been unplugged since October, actually September, I think. It's been unplugged for half a year, which is really bad practice, by the way. It was an older SSD, so, you know, but still SSDs are reliable. You'd think it would last a while. Well, literally in the middle of rendering the Macintosh Classic video and the AST Bravo video, both those ones did it. It crashed and lost all the data again, so I had to insert another backup SSD and start over from scratch. And during all this, all of the voiceover stuff that I recorded for this video was gone, including the intro and this outro that I'm re-recording. I've had to record this outro like 3 times. One in January, one in February, and one in March. 3rd time's the charm. Hopefully this works. But yeah, it's just the joys and wonders of being a small YouTuber, is things just going weird on some videos, which this was one of them. Anyway, with all that being said, hopefully you guys see this video and the outro and stuff I'm recording now with nothing else going wrong. With all that being said, hopefully you guys see this video, because I really don't want to re-record this for like the 4th time. Thank you also so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, hit the like and subscribe button. Comment down below if you have any thoughts or questions about the 5150 here. If you have any thoughts, good or bad, about the way I restored this thing or how I did things in this video and regarding the restoration of the 5150, let me know. If there's any specific early PC games you want to see me run on here, I would like to try Microsoft's Adventure and Flight Sim 1 on this thing. I think it'd be really neat to try that with this Amber monitor. With that being said, again, thank you all so much for watching this headache of a video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.